Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the business and the SillyVille edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to catch the show live, we are now streaming on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and DLive at Switch to Linux. And the link in the description of this video will have a link back to the website to tell you where to find all of the other places. Basically, I'm at Switch to Linux and all those other platforms. So there you have it. Well, let's go ahead and get on into the business news. When last week we reported on iOS tends to not pass all data through VPNs. Google's like, that sounds like a cool idea. So Google is going to stop Android VPNs from blocking ads. So if you happen to have a VPN that happens to block ads on a Google system, it's going to get booted from the Play Store. I remind you, though, that Google has things like F-Droid, Aurora, and numerous other stores where you can sideload applications in. One of those is the free and open source OpenVPN protocol application, which works very well, and nearly every commercial VPN does supply you a file that can be linked up to that particular app, which can work as a full system-wide VPN, and it's not on the Google Play Store, so Google can't do nothing about it. So if they boot your VPN off of the Google Play Store and off of your Android phone, go ahead and install the OpenVPN protocol from F-Droid, which is all security audited open source stuff, and you can plug your favorite VPN into that. But this basically has to do with VPN apps being available on the Android Play Store. They don't want ads in. Why? Because they want to get everybody exposed to malware. I will remind you, a lot of malware spreads through ads, and between that, taking up extra power and resources, and the fact that they're annoying, intrusive, and slow everything down, that's why I run ad blockers. I have no problem. In fact, there's one site over the years I've used a lot. I said, I like this site. I'm going to turn off my ad blocker for this site. I turn off the ad blocker, reload the page, and the entire site crashed. 15,000 ads all over. I'm like, screw that. If you were nice and put an ad or two over here, hey, I'd turn off the ad blocker, but you want to do that nonsense? You're lucky I'm still coming to your website. Unfortunately, I had things that I needed for work. But ad blocker remained because they just got that aggressive. Moving on, e-bike battery fires are pushing New York City towards banning them in public housing. So, use E. Oh, don't use that E. It burns the place down. Well, if you think that's the thing, how many battery fires have been linked to e-cars? Quite a bit of them for the very small number of electric vehicles on the road. Maybe we're going to start seeing the same thing. Does your homeowner's insurance cover it if your GM Volt bursts into flames in your garage? Think about, that's the car manufacturer's problem. And the car manufacturer's like, it's the homeowner's problem. And then you're going to be stuck without a car and without a house, and neither insurance company wants to do anything about it. Yeah, there's maybe another reason to not want to have it around. But, basically New York City is trying to ban everything. In fact, New York City is going to come up in our final SillyVille story as well. These people in New York City, I don't know if it's something in the water, is it just terminal stupidity or what it is, but like everything good for the world they're doing away with. Because think about this. People are turning to e-bikes because gas is so pricey and the traffic is so bad. So let's get the e-bikes so we can get from point A to point B. And now they're trying to put certain bans and restrictions on e-bikes because, whatever. What are you to do? Gas is expensive. Let's use our four-wheelers through town instead. Nope, can't do that. Let's take all these perfectly good vehicles during an economic crisis and crush them for fun. That Mayor Adams was a moron. Anyway, but state of California, that's not anything like this. Look at this one. California, of course, is introducing a law to ban the sale of gasoline engines by 2035. I think it's 2035. Maybe it's 2030. I think it's 2035. Let's give it 12 years. In 12 years, you cannot buy it. Everything's electric cars. Electric. California, I could not find propane, which I need for cooking and emergency backup heat in the van. I could not find any propane anywhere in California because as soon as it hit the shelf, people come in and buy it all up because they're working at banning that. They have banned every engine that's not electric for small motors, lawnmowers, leaf blowers, all that kind of stuff. All now has to be electric in California. And now they're shutting down the electric dam, the hydroelectric power, which is a significant amount of their power because the water levels are too low because of the drought. So their electricity grid is being threatened by not the fact that their electricity grid is always really bad, but also by the fact that now they're cutting back their power. And now they're telling everybody who has been forced to get electric cars not to charge your electric car. It relieves stress on the grid. Just maybe we should think about the fact that if everybody switches to electric cars, are we going to have an electrical grid left? The answer is no, because electric cars are a sham. They're not free energy. They are plugged by the system. And if all you're trying to do is power your electric car with solar panels, you are going to need a giant, like, acres and acres and acres of solar panels to power one car for a day. All right, that's what it's going to take. It is not sustainable. Electric cars are an absolute gimmick. They are not saving the planet. They require strip mining of rare earth metals by children in third world countries. They require a ton of fossil fuels in the manufacturing and production. They have much lower lifespans. After 10 years, the batteries are completely dead. Over $10,000 to replace them in a 10-year-old car. So many problems with them, not to mention the strain on the electric grid. And now the state of California is asking residents not to charge electric cars to relieve stress on the grid. So I guess if you bought the electric car because you're trying to save the planet and you live up in an area that is prone to forest fires and you don't have your car charged, you're just going to burn to death because you can't drive away. You know, as I was working on the video for this, for today's thing here, I realized the California state flag is a combination of the Russian flag and the Chinese flag. Interesting. It's got a giant bear and a single star. Weird. Oh, well, anyway, moving on to our last story. If that one wasn't enough, there is the power company Xcel down in the Denver, Colorado area. Of course, they're having power grid crisis as well. I'm not sure. I haven't heard any statements about telling people not to charge their electric cars, but their power grid is being threatened right now. And so in this area, there has been a plan where people can save a few bucks on their electric bill if they sign up for the energy savings plan and let the power company regulate their thermostat under certain conditions of power stress. So it requires them to buy a smart thermostat, plug it in, and then sign up. And if you don't have a smart thermostat, they're going to give you $50 towards the purchase of one, which most smart thermostats that will actually cover the cost of. And so people are putting the smart thermostats in, signing up for this, like, oh, we're saving a few bucks. Look at this. They're telling their neighbors, oh, look at all this. Well, the power company the other day came in and locked all their thermostats at 78 and would not let them change it. 22,000 people lost control of temperatures in their homes on Tuesday. And so temperatures climbed to the 90s on Tuesday, which is why Tony tried to crank up the air conditioning. 90 outside, and it was right during the peak period, and it was hot. That's when I saw a message on the thermostat stating the temperature was locked due to an energy emergency. Normally, when we see a message like that, we're able to override it. In this case, we weren't. So our thermostat was locked at 78 or 79 degrees. On social media, dozens of Xcel customers complained of similar experiences, reporting home temperatures as high as 88 degrees. Xcel confirmed to Contact Denver 7 that 22,000 customers who'd signed up for Colorado AC Rewards program were locked out of their smart thermostat for hours on Tuesday. It's a voluntary program. Let's remember that this is something that customers choose to be part of based on the incentives, says the vice president. Customers received $100 credit for enrolling in the program and $25 annually. But Rami said customers also agreed to give up some control to save energy and money and to make the system more reliable. So it helps everyone for people to participate in these programs. It's been uncomfortable for a short period of time, but it's very, very helpful. If you wanted a reason to not have a smart thermostat, what if Google decides, based on your location data, man, it's hot there and the electrical grid is there. And the power company asked Google, hey, everyone in this geo-restricted region with one of these things, can you lock their thermostats? Sure, why not? That's coming, folks. I'm sorry, I want control over my thermostat. Call me crazy, call me selfish, call me spoiled, but when it's hot out, I want to turn on the AC. I mean, really? This is the kind of crazy stuff. Denver, let's see, that's editor's note. To me, an emergency means there is, life and limb, or there's danger out there. Some of massive wildfires. Even if it's a once-in-a-blue-moon situation, it just doesn't sit right to us to not be able to control our own thermostat in our own house. Yep, you should have read the bottom line on that, Bubba. How long before these people pull those smart thermostats out? That's what I'd have done. Just go on down to the local hardware store, pick yourself up a thermostat. Remember that thermostats are kind of wired in reverse. Just keep that in mind, guys. Thermostats are wired a little bit differently than other things in your house. Go out, buy one of those. I'd be pulling that thing right on down, plugging the dumb thermostat back in and cranking it back up and telling him, keep her $25, yo, it's hot in here. All right. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates today. We're talking about Linode. I'm using Linode for our restreaming server here, allowing me to put one feed into Linode, and then that's going to send that feed out to 5 different places we are streaming to right now. All that's on one simple Linode that only cost me like $5 a month, which is way better than giving up all my data and signing terms and services and stuff with like Restream and all these other services and stuff. But Linode will allow you to do that, host websites, build media servers, all sorts of other fun things. You can use my affiliate code tlm.li/Linode for $100 credit on a free 60-day free trial, and you can spin up as many Linodes as you want in that time, test it out, see what all it can do for you, and then at the end you can shut down everything that you don't need. Again, that's tlm.li/Linode. Let's head on over to SillyVille. First up in SillyVille, the dating app fought scammers with bots and hilarity ensued. I was hoping they'd actually give us some timestamps of some of the conversations, but basically the point is there were some dating apps, and a lot of these dating apps are owned by the same companies. They're noticing there's a lot of scammers on there, and the scammers are getting in here like, oh, woe is me, whoa, I need some money, can you send me a gift card, whatever else. And there's a lot of those little scammers over there. So the dating services released bots against the people they believe to be scammers, and then they let the scammers and the bots back and forth with each other. And sadly, we didn't get any of the conversation, which is we get a lot of discussion about what happened. Come on, man. I want to see the actual conversations ensued here. Don't tell me there's hilarity ensuing and not give me the hilarity. But every once in a while, the scammers will run into scammers. So apparently this one, there's a $40 Google Play gift card for using the service or whatever else. These two scammers are fighting over which one gets it because they both want it and they're just here to get the gift card. I don't know. But lame article from TechCrunch because they tell us hilarity ensues, but they didn't actually dig in and show us what that hilarity was. I'm bummed out, but hey, I'm happy enough knowing that it exists. Of course, anytime Doom gets running on something, we have to rejoice. And in this case, somebody got Doom to load on a John Deere tractor with sick codes. Locking code S03E18. 1993, game developers at ID Software released Doom. And basically, it's a freeware. I don't know if it's the full game, whatever else. But a bunch of people tried to mess around with it. At DEF CON 30, Sick Codes presented his work to an audience of onlookers at the conference's main stage. His efforts to run the modified version of Zoom, which are discussed in today's episode of Locking Code with his host. Not good enough for a laugh, though. One specific community, the work represents possible important step towards fighting their own, the fight to right to repair. So the idea here is he was able to get in here and get some custom code on this. This is a good first step. It's kind of like the first thing you do. Can you write to repair it? Well, I don't know. Can we hack Zoom onto it or Doom onto it? Great. We can hack Doom onto it. Good. Now we can hack our own software onto it. Let's go. And so, yeah, we did end up getting a John Deere tractor running Doom. I wonder if the tractor is going to be running over like zombies and bad guys in 3D mazes. If the tractors are now going to build Doom maps out of cornfields. I don't know, but it's a fun idea and to think about. And on to our last story. I said For you guys watching live, I said New York City was going to come back, and they're coming back. From not to be, New York City is finally cracking down on crime by outlawing whipped cream purchases for people under 21. So, to be clear, you can now go into a convenience store with an unloaded gun, rob it at gunpoint, but since you didn't have bullets in the gun, they're not going to charge you for felony assault with a deadly weapon. They're going to give you a misdemeanor if they even charge you with that. But if you try and buy whipped cream and you're not 21, you're going down. New York City's got its priorities. No more whipped cream for those under 21. I mean, does this mean in New York City it's going to be illegal to have like whipped cream at youth groups or something? I mean, what if your youth pastor's a cool 20-year-old hip kid? He can't buy whipped cream for the whipped cream eating contest for youth group. There's so many things here. Of course, so you had another article here related to New York City. 10 different criminals have been arrested, 485 combined times since New York started its catch and release bail reform program. Yeah, maybe we should lock them up and keep them there. But New York is cracking down on crime by making it illegal to buy spray whipped cream if you're under 21. Same New York that opened safe injection sites so medical personnel can administer heroin and other illegal drugs to addicts has now banned the sale of whipped cream to minors. Clown world. Hank, Hank. Satirical jabs aside, apparently spray whipped cream uses nitrous oxide to propel the cream into the foamy goodness atop our ice cream sundaes, and addicts are buying up the cream and pulling out the nitrous oxide canisters and inhaling the gas in what is called a whip it. Whip it. Whip it good. All right. Nitrous oxide, more commonly known as laughing gas, is used for decades. General anesthesia can also have fun side effects like hallucinations, brain damage. Yeah, fun side effects like brain damage, dementia, and death. Yeah. All right. We know we're living on the edge with our whipped cream so long, and when it was full of drugs. There you go. So DEA says 1 in 5 minors have been using it like a whippet before 8th grade, and a lot of the side effects are irreversible. So now New York retailers are required to check the age of a person before they buy whipped cream. Remember buying cans of stuff when we were kids? Never once we thought about cracking open, sniffing it. Yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, think about all of those under 21s at McDonald's handling dangerous substances when I order your milkshake or your flurry or something. Yeah, so New York City's got it figured out. They've got their priorities down. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page that supports my different channels, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there, help support us over on Patreon. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.